If you are a complete beginner and you start reading rules about using tense in English or preposition, it will be very hard to remember them, not to mention use them, as you won't have any idea because you have no context. Welcome back to my channel again. Hi, I'm Shakib Rahman. I'm gonna discuss about the easiest way of learning English. So stay tuned till the end. How to learn English is probably the most common question in the comment section and the most frequent question I get asked. And while it has many layers to it, I'll share with you the system that I believe a language should be learned by. This is what I think the most effective and natural way. And this is how, in my opinion, any language should be learned and approached, because this way helped me to finally become fluent in my 20s after years spent in vain in school and courses trying to become fluent in English. Even if you are not a beginner, I still suggest that you try this system, especially if you are stuck, because simply change what you do will help. This is the approach I took, the one up that changed everything for me, and also in the most natural, because this is how we learned our first language. So I always suggest starting with listening. For complete beginners, I would say you should start by watching the simplest video, the ones where they show you an object and name it. Then ones where they ask simple question like what's your name and tell you how to answer, and then you gradually move on to more complicated things. It will be very much like kids learn a language. They listen a lot. In fact, they only listen for a year, give or take, and only then start to speak. They listen to their parents speak and explain things to them, and that's how they pick the language. As we're not kids and there's no adult explain things to us, we will Google up words and everything else. Yes, self-education, but believe me, it's worth it. This knowledge will stick with you for sure. One of the best methods to improve your listening is watch and listen to something in English that you have watched in your native language a lot, like some TV show like Friends. For instance, most people I know I have watched it on repeat, or anything you like, because you will already know what it is about, that you will be able to figure out the meaning of the words. First watch it with subtitles, then without them, and again watch on the repeat, because repetition is the key to learning. Then we move on to speaking. Mark my word, if you spend enough of hours working on your listening, speaking will come to you a lot easier. It will come to you naturally. Shadowing, copying, and repetition will be your go-to things, and we will start by simply repeat after native speakers. Start with some simple sentence and then something more complicated, but make sure that you are repeating the right things. Turn on subtitles and starters, because oftentimes we either drop the words we can't quite make out or say something completely different. But if you have worked on your listening thoroughly, this shouldn't be a problem. Next, start shadowing. Shadowing is more about focusing on the accuracy, repeating everything exactly way another person says it, including the stresses on word and the annotation in words and sentence. This will also give you the opportunity to pick up phrase, idiom, sentence, and even grammar naturally. I would also add this step, working on your pronunciation. Yep, right away if you want to, of course, but this would be the beneficial for you. You can work on by yourself with a teacher or coach, or you can take a course. There's a lot of options these days, and of course practice your speaking with a speaking partner in a speaking club with teacher. When we feel more or less comfortable speaking English, we add reading. I think that reading is the general, but especially at the beginning should be about quality and not about quantity. Read slowly, but make sure that you understand what you are reading about. There's no need to look up every word as long as you understand the context. It would be awesome if you did look up every word, but it might be too trying. And of course, make sure that you are reading something according to your interest and something is simple. Again, the beginning, the move forward there, and the next step would be working and improving your writing for those who wants to need learn to write about English. The next step would be working on improving your writing for those who want to need learn to write in English. Like if you need English because you want to study in English in a speaking country, or perhaps for Ielts. In school they kind of teach us backwards, and you are knowing the how to read and write but not how to speak, and you can't understand anything when you hear native natural English speech. However, the easiest thing, you can start with copy text. You don't need to come up with your own sentence and think of grammar when you don't even know how to spell words. Plus, such an exercise will help you grammar. At the very least, your brain will pick up the words order in sentence. I'm sure that there will be people who will be wondering, but how about vocabulary? How will I increase it? You don't need to learn words separately, so there is not a separate step to increase your vocabulary. It's going to happening naturally as a byproduct of all those other steps, because it's impossible not to look up the meanings of new words you come across to understand the context. Over time, you will be able to understand the meaning of words based on context and what you already know, and this way to expand your vocabulary is a lot more effective and gives a long-lasting result compared to just learning 10 randomly words every day. And just a side note, try to look up the meaning of the words English and not their translation. There are words that you just need to translate, fully understand them, but just try. Grammar, honestly, you will be learning and improving your grammar all along while you are those other steps, because it's only natural for people to make association and analyze. If you are curious about the structure and all the whys, you will read about them. You will be learning it as you go along. However, after doing all these things, you will probably still have questions, because let's be honest, even after years and years of learning English, some of us still problems with grammar. But after you have done all the steps, and mind you, it's not like you have done a step and can just stop doing it. Learning a language, or I should say maintaining a language, is lifelong process, and we all know that skills deteriorate when we are not using them. If you knew how to play an instrument and then you just detached it, you'd notice that over time your skills got worse, like you have regressed. Our brain disposed of the things we don't use to make stores for things we do use, thus need. The way it should go is you start with listening. You listen and at least for a month, but I'd suggest to then you include not subtitle with include the process speaking. So now you are working on your listening and speaking, then you add next step by one by one. The duration of the each step will vary from person to person, because some of us learn more quickly and some more slowly. So you know yourself best, so you will figure it out. So as I was saying, after you have gone through all the steps but still continue doing them, understanding grammar structure and rules and using them will become a lot easier, opposed to if you are not start learning a language by learning grammar rules. If you are a complete beginner and you start reading rules about using tense in English or preposition, it will be very hard to remember them, not to mention use them, as you won't have any idea because you have no context. If you have an English speaking country, it's going to be easier to do all the things, maintain your results, because whether you want it or not, you are surrounded by English. If you don't, after doing all the things, you will be build a strong enough habit to keep going and continue learning on your own nonetheless. Nowadays you can surround yourself with English by yourself. You can create this environment. Yeah, it's won't be perfect, but it will be something, and it's better than waiting the perfect situation or opportunity and wasting of your time. And you don't have to be doing all of this you by yourself. You can always get help, work with teachers and courses, and it would be even better if you added such a learning process working with the teacher, or vice versa. If you take a course or attend class, add this step to your routine. This is just my recommendation and just scratching the surface to give your general idea, because there are so many methods to improve each of these steps. You can skip a step, writing for instance, importance if you not a big importance for you, but I highly recommended in this event that you don't skip listening or speaking. These are the skills we need the most communicate, and these are the skills that are either overlooked at schools or are the hardest to learn. That's why the sooner you start, the more you consist, you are the better result you will get. And if you have any problem, please hit me up. I'm always with you, and take a course with me. I can help you out. Thank you so much for watching the full video.